like, I think the biggest mistake that people make is like, once you dip into the red, is not identifying it immediately and making changes. So like, we'll see people, and this is, Iris or not, but like, and we unfortunately made these mistakes at Mad Rabbit where it's like, no, just give the ad set a little bit more time, or like, we're launching this creative, like just let it learn. It's in the learning phase, like whatever, like all that bullshit. So like, if you don't have the ability to understand the hour that your brand starts to lose money, you are doing it wrong. The technology exists today for you to be able to know that. And so once you know that, then you need to go and make changes. And the answer a lot of times is just to stop spending, right? So like, there's a ton of pressure, back for the last 12 years or whatever, just to continue to grow month over month, year over year. You got to grow, you got to grow. People like, you don't have to grow every single month over month, right? Like, you obviously want to grow your business in a steady, sustainable manner. But once you start like kind of operating at like that marginal return that's like too expensive to continue to grow, you're just literally burning money. And like, the capital markets, like to our earlier point around enterprise value, no longer reward that behavior. And like, yeah, like, look, like 2021, like, yeah, fucking spend as much as you want and grow as much as you want. I don't care how much money you lose. Like, you can sell for 5x sales and you're all good. Like, these days, it's like, you're not going to attract capital. You're not going to sustain yourself. You're just literally like torpedoing the business. And so the number one thing I think is like, people being too willing to be in the red, contribution margin or net income basis. Like, it's certainly, you should not be in the red on the net income basis. If you, like, you want to basically understand, like, when am I starting to lose money? And as soon as I understand that, how do I change course to actually go and make money? And a lot of times the answer is just fucking stop spending, honestly. Like, you don't have, like, as long as you have some element of recurring revenue, like, you're going to experience margin expansion in that sense. And like, you don't really have to like force the growth. Is kind of like, the first thing that comes to mind as far as like day-to-day operational mistakes. And I think, just to drill it home a little bit more, is like, that is where finance and marketing, that happens the most often when finance and marketing are extremely disconnected inside of the brand. So once you connect finance and marketing, finance can basically be like, hey, you're being stupid, and then marketing can be like, okay, let's change course. So I think that's like the biggest thing. And candidly, like, I'm saying it in a little biased sense because that's the biggest value prop for Iris as well. But like, I truly believe that's like the number one thing that people get wrong, is like just spending at the wrong level.
It's interesting. I mean, the answer then is overwhelmingly for people ad dollars. It's their ad dollars is where the waste is. And it's funny though, because the well, I mean, you look like you're gonna maybe correct that.
Well, so no, no, I think ad dollars is one variable in a multivariable equation, right? So like, the problem is that, like, the existing technologies within the ecosystem are not marrying the multiple variables, right? So like, if you have a discount going on for Memorial Day, okay, well, that changes our MER, in order as like, break even, or profitability or whatever. And that's why
People
looking
make
at
this mistake all the time. They don't change their targets despite that they're selling the product for less money and taking a thinner margin. I watch this happen constantly.
Yes, exactly. So like, you have discounts, you have refunds, you have brand spend, if you're not including that in like contribution margin, which is like silly. You have like all these different inputs, and people will just be like, okay, like 2.4x is my break even ROAS, and anything above that is profits. And it's like, okay, well, then you strap on like a huge discount and you're looking at like a gross MER, and it's like, well, no, like, you're losing money, and now you're doing that stupid shit that I just said not to do, which is like, you're going into the red and you're continuing to go into the red. And then you're not going to realize it until 3 weeks later when your accountant comes to you with the closed books for April and be like, dude, like, you just completely missed on this entire P&L goal. Like, you just botched this. And then you can only do that so many times before you die.
That's so right. I think the baseline mentality you're expressing here, which is just like hunt, it's what I hear you saying is hunt down wasted dollars in your business. I remember reading The Outsiders. Have you read that book?
Like the Pony Boy one?
No. The other one. Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
that's the Greasers.
no.
No, I don't know the Outsiders.
No, The Outsiders is a Ponyboy one. But there's an Outsiders. It's like a
Oh,
profile of like overperforming CEOs. It's like, who are the CEOs who over the longest term created, like, if you had given them $1 or $100, let's say, over the longest term, who would have maximized your return on $100 most consistently, as measured by by performance against public markets. So basically, there's like long CEOs who over a long time created really valuable companies. over and over and over again. And one of the things that comes up, and it's like 10 profiles, great book, recommended. One of the things that comes up over and over and over again is that a lot of these CEOs, and I was gonna say guys, that's all in that book. It's all guys and one female CEO, because over a longer time period. So be it, from the past. But the thing that comes up over and over is they're cheap. Like they hated wasting money on, like they were not flying around in PJs. They were not like,
Yeah.
creating super fancy offices and all this kind, at least in those days, like a lot of them just ended up like, and it's basically that mentality, which is just like, stop losing money. And I can speak from my experience, especially on the media buying side, which is like, it is so tempting every time your ads are not getting the return you want to go, just leave them on. We'll fix it. We'll like